Hello, history buffs, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving into the incredible events that all took place on a single day. October 1st. It's a date that has witnessed the clash of empires, the birth of nations, and innovations that changed the world forever. So, grab your calendars, and let's turn back the clock. Our journey begins in the ancient world, on October 1st, 331 BC, at the Battle of Gaugamela. This wasn't just any battle. It was the ultimate showdown between two of the most powerful figures of antiquity, Alexander the Great of Macedon and Darius III of the vast Persian Empire. Imagine a dusty plain, in what is now modern-day Iraq, filled with hundreds of thousands of soldiers. Darius, commanding a numerically superior force, was confident he could crush the young Macedonian king who had dared to invade his lands. He had chosen the battlefield himself, ensuring it was wide and flat, to maximize the effectiveness of his famed scythed chariots. But Alexander was a military genius. He knew he couldn't win a straightforward fight. Instead, he employed a brilliant and audacious strategy. He advanced with his right wing angled back, seemingly exposing his flank. This was a trap. As the Persian cavalry charged, Alexander created a gap in the center of Darius's line. Seizing the moment, he led his elite companion cavalry in a decisive, wedge-shaped charge straight at Darius himself. The sight of Alexander and his warriors bearing down on him was too much for the Persian king. Darius fled the battlefield, and with his departure, the Persian army's morale collapsed, leading to a rout. The Battle of Gaugamela was a decisive victory for Alexander. It didn't just win him a battle. It effectively shattered the Achaemenid Empire, which had dominated the region for 2 centuries. This victory paved the way for Alexander to control Mesopotamia and Persia, and it marked a pivotal turning point, spreading Hellenistic culture far and wide across the known world. Fast forward, over to millennia, to October 1st, 1908. A different kind of revolution is taking place. Not on a battlefield, but in a factory in Detroit, Michigan. On this day, Henry Ford introduced the world to the Ford Model T. Before the Model T, cars were expensive, handcrafted toys for the wealthy. They were unreliable and seen as a luxury most people could only dream of. Henry Ford had a different vision. He wanted to build a car for the great multitude, a vehicle that was affordable, durable, and easy to maintain. The Model T, affectionately nicknamed the Tin Lizzie, was exactly that. But the car itself was only half the story. The real innovation was the moving assembly line, which Ford perfected. This revolutionary manufacturing process drastically reduced the time and cost of building each car. By 1925, a brand new Model T cost less than $300, making car ownership a reality for the average American family. It transformed society, connecting rural areas to cities, creating suburbs, and giving people a newfound sense of freedom and mobility. The Model T wasn't just a car. It was a symbol of the modern industrial age, a testament to the power of mass production that would shape the 20th century. However, October 1st has also seen its share of tragedy. On this day in 1910, a powerful bomb ripped through the headquarters of the Los Angeles Times. The explosion, which occurred shortly after 1 a.m., ignited a massive fire, turning the building into a death trap. In the end, 21 people lost their lives, and many more were injured. The city was in shock. The LA Times, under its staunchly anti-union publisher Harrison Gray Otis, was a vocal opponent of the labor movement. Suspicion immediately fell on union activists. The investigation led to the arrest of 2 brothers, John and James McNamara, who were prominent figures in the Iron Workers Union. The case became a national sensation, pitting organized labor against big business. While many in the labor movement believed the brothers were framed, they eventually confessed to the bombing as part of a plea deal to avoid the death penalty. The Los Angeles Times bombing was a dark and violent chapter in the history of American labor relations, highlighting the extreme tensions and bitterness that defined the era. It was a stark reminder of how high the stakes were in the fight for workers' rights. Jumping ahead to October 1st, 1938, we find ourselves in Europe, on the brink of another catastrophic conflict. On this day, German troops marched into the Sudetenland, a region of Czechoslovakia with a large ethnic German population. This wasn't a military conquest in the traditional sense, but the direct result of the Munich Agreement, signed just days earlier by Germany, Italy, France, and the United Kingdom. In a desperate attempt to avoid war, the Allied powers agreed to Hitler's demand to annex the Sudetenland. This policy became known as appeasement. British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain famously returned from Munich, declaring he had secured peace for our time. But the peace was short-lived. The agreement was a devastating blow to Czechoslovakia, which was forced to cede its border fortifications and significant industrial territory without even being consulted. More importantly, it emboldened Hitler, convincing him that the Western democracies lacked the will to stand up to him. The occupation of the Sudetenland, intended to prevent a war, is now widely seen as a crucial step that made World War II all but inevitable. It was a failed act of appeasement that taught a hard lesson about the dangers of conceding to aggressors. A decade later, on October 1, 1949, the political map of Asia was redrawn. Standing atop the Gate of Heavenly Peace in Beijing, Mao Zedong formally proclaimed the founding of the People's Republic of China. This declaration marked the end of the long and bloody Chinese Civil War between the Communists and the Nationalists, led by Chiang Kai-shek, who fled to Taiwan. For millions of Chinese, it symbolized a new beginning, the birth of a new China free from foreign domination and internal strife. The establishment of Communist China was a monumental event with global repercussions. It represented a massive political shift, bringing a quarter of the world's population under communist rule and creating a new major player on the world stage. The founding of the PRC would profoundly shape the course of the Cold War and international relations for decades to come. To this day, October 1st is celebrated as China's National Day, a week-long public holiday marked by grand parades and festivities across the country. Our timeline now takes us to Africa. On October 1, 1960, Nigeria, the continent's most populous nation, gained its independence from Great Britain. After decades of colonial rule, the Nigerian flag of green and white was raised for the first time as a symbol of its newfound sovereignty. The day was filled with celebration and hope for a bright future. Leaders like Nnamdi Azikiwe and Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, who became the first head of state and prime minister respectively, envisioned a unified, prosperous nation. Nigeria's independence was a significant moment in the wave of decolonization that swept across Africa in the mid-20th century. Like China, Nigeria celebrates October 1st as its National Day, a time to reflect on its journey as a nation, its rich cultural diversity, and its aspirations for the future. Let's shift from nation-building to a different kind of kingdom. On October 1st, 1971, the most magical place on Earth opened its gates. Walt Disney World welcomed its first visitors in Orlando, Florida. This was the culmination of a massive project, a dream that Walt Disney himself had envisioned before his death in 1966. He wanted to create a destination far grander than Disneyland, a complete vacation resort with theme parks, hotels, and its own unique infrastructure. His brother, Roy O. Disney, saw the project through to completion. On opening day, the Magic Kingdom was the main attraction, and it was an instant sensation. Families flocked to experience attractions like It's a Small World, the Haunted Mansion, and Cinderella Castle, which quickly became an iconic symbol recognized worldwide. Walt Disney World not only transformed the swampland of Central Florida into a global tourist hub, but also set a new standard for theme parks and family entertainment. It has since expanded into a sprawling resort that attracts tens of millions of visitors every year, a testament to the enduring power of imagination and storytelling. Our final stop on this historical tour is a somber one. On October 1, 1991, the historic city of Dubrovnik in Croatia came under attack. Following Croatia's declaration of independence from Yugoslavia, forces of the Yugoslav People's Army and Serbian paramilitaries began a siege of the beautiful coastal city. Dubrovnik, known as the Pearl of the Adriatic, was a UNESCO World Heritage Site, famous for its stunning medieval walls and architecture. The world watched in horror as this cultural treasure was shelled from the land and sea. The siege lasted for 7 months, causing immense suffering for the civilians trapped inside and significant damage to the historic old town. The attack on Dubrovnik was widely condemned internationally and became a symbol of the brutality of the Croatian War of Independence. It demonstrated that even priceless cultural heritage was not safe from the ravages of war, galvanizing international opinion against the aggressors. From ancient battles and industrial marvels to the birth of nations and the opening of magical kingdoms, October 1st has truly been a day of consequence. It's a date that reminds us of the triumphs and tragedies, the innovations and conflicts that have shaped our world. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through time. What event from today's video did you find the most fascinating? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoy exploring history with us, Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next adventure. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.